Welcome back, everybody, to the 2017 Portland, Oregon Regional Championships. We haven't changed anything at all. My name's still Dweeha.
I think I'm still Zach.
You think?
Probably.
Possibly. Well, we can't all just be like a butterfly and transform overnight.
No.
But hey, guess what? Round 4 is happening, and I'm excited because we got two former world champions in the senior division facing off now in the master division. Oh, how they have grown.
Yeah.
Nikolai Zielinski on bottom of the screen versus Kamran Jahadi, 2011 world champion in the senior division versus the 2014 world champion in the senior division. So this is hype.
Yeah, they both did really well in Masters. Nikolai winning a regional, I believe, last year. He's top cut numerous ones in Masters division. Kamz as well.
Kamz won
a
regional.
Pretty sure he won a regional. He's top cut at least 3.
Yep.
If not more. So these guys are both accomplished players, not only in the senior division, but when they moved up to Masters, they've both done a lot since then.
We're actually ready to get into team preview, and I don't want you guys to miss any of the action at all. Nikolai going to be running Tapu Koko, Snorlax, Metagross, Arcanine, Garchomp, and Porygon 2. On the other side, Kamran using Tapu Koko, Arcanine, Kartana, Garchomp, Mimikyu, and Snorlax.
Very similar teams.
Yeah.
Just looks like the Trick Room Setter's different, and the Steel type. The only two things that are really different here. I honestly, it should be interesting. It's almost like a mirror, but it just depends on how the sets are and how those two differences, I guess, work against each other.
Yeah, and now we see Nikolai leading Garchomp and Tapu Koko, and Kamran going to lead Arcanine and Tapu Koko. So, all right. The exact same leads. Or, sorry, not exact same leads. Sorry, Garchomp, not Arcanine. So, yeah, here we are, ready to get underway. Round 4, Game 1.
All right, so Tapu Koko versus Tapu Koko. Quite the electric matchup. I think you're going to probably end up seeing something on the other side of the field switch here. Something on Cam's side. Don't really think he's going to want to keep both in on a Garchomp, just for, safety reasons. Earthquake here, even with the Intimidate, it's still going to do a lot of damage to both Pokemon. Probably not worth in taking on both turns. But he doesn't have anything to switch into that's going to resist an Earthquake. So, really good situation for Nikolai.
Yep, and Arcanine actually goes for a helping hand here on his Tapu Koko. That should make that Dazzling Gleam able to pick up the KO, but Garchomp protects. So Nikolai kind of seeing right through that here. Not going to want to sacrifice that Garchomp just yet, as Tapu Koko does go for a Dazzling Gleam from Kamran's side. Going to connect on to the Tapu Koko over on Nikolai's side, and that almost picks up the KO. Very close, as Tapu Koko over on Nikolai's side goes for a Thunderbolt, boosted by that Electric Terrain. Going to do massive damage to that Arcanine. So good information to know that this Garchomp is actually threatened.
Yeah, that definitely would have picked up the KO, judging by the damage that was done on Tapu Koko there. Interesting here is that he could go for the Extreme Speed Dazzling Gleam and knock out both Pokemon. So he's got Nikolai's got to be very careful here with what Kamz can do. A lot of pressure. He definitely cannot make the straightforward double attack play. Needs to either switch, protect. He just protected Garchomp, so really back against the wall here for Nikolai. Good play turn 1, but needs to adjust your turn 2 to survive the rest of the game.
Probably going to have to make some switches, maybe go into one of his Fairy type resists.
Yeah.
But instead we see Arcanine go for a helping hand here onto the Tapu Koko over on Kamran's side, as Tapu Koko on Kamran's side goes for a Thunderbolt. Going to pick up the KO on that Arcanine. But this is going to be a trade right here for both Pokemon over on Nikolai's side.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be the case. Is it knockout? It
yep.
Certainly does.
The helping hand does so much work.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a favorable one for Nikolai. Maybe he has something in the back that he really wants to set here. Trick Room here would be really good against the Tapu Koko, but it looks like it's Life Orb, and it's in Electric Terrain, and nothing is going to change that. So it's going to get a lot of damage off if he has the Trick Room setter, which is Porygon 2. And if Kamz has anything that can set up a Z move, it's going to be tricky.
Metagross taking the field now, and Porygon 2 also going to take the field as well. Possibly going to go for a Trick Room setup here. Garchomp over on Kamran's side comes in right now, as we do see Porygon 2 get a special attack boost. Good. That's good. That's good for Porygon 2.
It's good for Porygon 2, but the situation here is still not very good for Nikolai. This game might be over in 4 turns. If he wants to double the Porygon 2 here, Thunderbolt and Tectonic Rage. I don't know what you're gonna. If it survives, good for him. But.
Metagross protects, not want to get knocked out yet. Tapu Koko goes for a Sky Drop into that Porygon 2 slot. Gonna try to prevent Trick from being set up right here as Garchomp sets up a Swords Dance.
This is my favorite play in the game right here. Is I've been this makes me happy to see it. It's just like you can't stop it. It's the Tectonic Rage always does 50%. Yeah, so this is your Sky Drop damage plus the Tectonic Rage knocks out Porygon 2 100% of the time. Metagross can't touch either one. Excellent play. It wins in the game.
Yep, and Metagross right here protecting itself again. Going to go for a double protect. Tapu Koko going to release that Porygon 2 from the Sky Drop. Going to allow Porygon 2 to move now. Doing a little bit of damage thanks to the critical hit. We kind of see Tapu Koko going for two things, right? We see it going for the support with the Sky Drop and also the offense with that Life Orb Dazzling Gleam. As we see Garchomp now go for a Tectonic Rage into this protect. It's still going to do a good amount of damage thanks to that Sword Stance that it got from the turn before. So, great way. Just going to go straight into that Porygon 2. That's knocked out Porygon 2.
Yeah, it's gone.
Good way to realize what the threat was, and Porygon 2 being able to go for an Ice Beam or a Trick Room knocked out, no problem.
Yep, then that'll do it. That easy play for him there. Looked like Kamz had that game really clean from the start. Nikolai forfeiting here.
To be fair, though, Nikolai did take one KO.
He did take a KO, but the early positioning, I think, was the issue.
Yep.
In a game like this, very offensive. Got to be a little more careful with your lead. I think he thought Garchomp would do a little more, and the helping hand Dazzling Gleam is probably something that he didn't necessarily expect. That if it was HP Ice, it'd be different, because you could just take out the Garchomp and the Koko's safe. But the Koko wasn't safe. It fainted in 2 turns. That was probably what changed it there. Right,
and now Nikolai does know that there is that threat of the Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam. Nikolai's going to have to adjust that and try to see if he can lead differently to avoid having his Garchomp knocked out so easily, and also at the same time not have his Tapu Koko get knocked out so easily as well.
Yeah, no, that's true. You'll have to switch it up, and let's see if Kamz can call a switch. I mean, he obviously knows it's not going to be the same thing, but he just really doesn't want dabbing to be around.
Yeah, there's also that always ever so present issue of not seeing what that last Pokemon over on Kamz's side was. That's kind of disheartening, because you don't know what your opponent's end game was. You don't know what that last Pokemon was, so you got to go into the next game making adjustments and being like, well, what if my adjustments just lead into whatever his 4th Pokemon was and get destroyed?
Yeah, you can't do anything about it. It's kind of unfortunate, but you got to play with some lack of information. Something we encountered earlier in the stream is when the Sword Dance Garchomp in Brandon's side.
Yep.
So kind of the same thing. Just got to play with assumptions. Yeah, if you practice a lot and you see things a lot, you run into it and you kind of assume that they're going to bring something against you. You know your team's strengths, you know your team's weaknesses, and sometimes there's a case where there's a Pokemon there that's in the back that you don't worry about.
Yeah.
It's fine if they bring that. So see if Nikolai has a good sense of what's coming and knows his team well enough to be able to adjust.
And these are 2 former world champions going at it. Kamran kind of showing that, maybe I'm the better world champion over Nikolai, as we see Porygon 2 and Garchomp leads out for Nikolai, and Kamran going to lead the exact same thing, Arcanine and Tapu Koko. So you do still have to respect that Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam.
Yeah. Self-respect the Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam, but now you put pressure on him to attack the Porygon. He can't knock it out here. No Garchomp on the field. He can't set up Trick Room. So this is a much different situation. I think there's Nikolai put himself in position to at least, go blow to blow with Kamz. I think there's a reasonable chance that Porygon sets up Trick Room here. Whether or not the Garchomp faints, the Garchomp fainting might actually be in his favor.
Yeah, and now we see the Tapu Koko the Arcanine go for a Helping Hand. Tapu Koko instead going for a Thunderbolt. Garchomp did not protect. Oh, wow, that did a lot of damage to that Porygon too, as we do see Garchomp now go for a Tectonic Rage. It's either the Arcanine or the Porygon 2, or the Tapu Koko that's going to get knocked out here pretty easily.
Yeah, it looks like one of them's down. I don't think it really makes a difference. He picked the target and it's going to get deleted.
Well, it depends on how this Arcanine's trained. If it's very, very physically bulky, then it might be able to hang on. But then again, do I really know my damage calcs, as it does pick up the KO on that Arcanine? So that is one threat. Now you don't have to worry about the Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam. As Porygon 2 gets to set up a Trick Room, that's going to set up that Garchomp to be able to beat that Tapu Koko now.
Yeah, not only that, but it says the Porygon 2, if it wants to recover. That way it can recover off the damage that the Koko just dealt. So unlike last game, it kind of, the tables have turned, almost appropriately turned to the exact opposite side. Maybe not. They spoke too soon. Here comes the Snorlax.
Snorlax is going to take the field. Snorlax just going to do, well, honestly, going back to it, I never really expected Curselax to be such a popular Pokemon in this format, but hey, it's dominant. If you don't have an answer to Curselax, just forfeit.
Yeah. No, and I don't know if he does. I mean, that Porygon 2 could have Toxic. In this case, you might want to Toxic the Snorlax and Earthquake yourself, but if the Snorlax protects, then, well, you don't have Toxic anymore. So
Well, also Snorlax is just naturally slower than the Porygon 2
it
as
is,
well.
so it could attack it, but Coco does faint. You get damage on Snorlax for free. It really depends on what he expects Nikolai to do if you're in Kam's shoes here. If he does expect Toxic, just take it out, take your Earthquake damage, maybe protect Coco, maybe not, maybe just let it faint and switch something in.
And Snorlax is going to go straight up for the frustration, going to target down the Porygon to pick it off. Not going to allow it to go for a possible Toxic, like you said, or even just a chance to recover. Garchomp, seeing that Porygon 2 is going to get knocked out anyways, goes for the Earthquake here, going to connect onto Tapu Koko. It is intimidated. Tapu Koko hangs on, and a single target Dazzling Gleam should be able to pick up the KO with that Life Orb. And that is enough to pick up the KO. So now Nikolai down to his last 2 Pokemon. Snorlax out on the field. I don't think he really has much that can touch this unless it's his own Snorlax.
Snorlax, I mean, it's not the worst situation. He did get damage in the other Snorlax. If he has Metagross Snorlax here, I feel like he's in a better spot than, yeah.
There's one part of the puzzle. There's Metagross.
So maybe losing both Pokemon here was really unfortunate for this turn, but
Tapu Koko instead of a Snorlax. That's unfortunate. The benefit of that is that the Snorlax will probably be able to set up in his physical defense. Tapu Koko at least hits for the special defense, but still.
Yeah, Snorlax is going to probably end up going for the high horsepower at some point on the Tapu Koko. If it can take that, and you can Hammer Arm and Thunderbolt the Snorlax, get 2 hits on it, might be able to put it in range to knock it out with anything else. But, wow, that not bringing the Snorlax here really doesn't help Nikolai. If he would have had it, maybe he could Snorlax for Snorlax and compete with him, but it makes it a little different. Now you have 2 ground weak Pokemon with a Pokemon with high horsepower and Tapu Koko next to it, which still needs to be knocked out at some point.
Kamz has actually been playing magnificently this entire season.
He is.
Oh, all right, not going to be the Curse variant. We're going to see a Stockpile instead, probably Stockpile Belly Drum. I believe that's the little bit. Oh, Snorlax dodges the Hammer Arm as Tapu Koko on Kamz's side goes for a Thunderbolt in that Electrant on that Metagross. Tapu Koko over there hangs on as Tapu Koko on Nikolai's side goes for a Dazzling Gleam here. Going to connect, pick up the KO on that Tapu Koko and do a good amount of damage to that Snorlax. So, all right, this is a different variant of Snorlax. It's not the Curse variant. It's the Stockpile variant with, I believe, it carries Belly Drum.
I'm not sure.
Possibly, or you just set up defenses. I don't know.
It may just set up defenses and recycle. That might be what it does. I'm not sure.
That's fair.
But haven't seen it. I've only seen Curse and what do you call it? Belly Drum. So I don't know. Personally not sure. But either way, I don't know if there's a way for Nikolai to get out of this. Kamz has played really well up to this point.
Yeah, Garchomp can just Earthquake and pick up the KOs right here.
Yeah. Metagross doesn't have Ice Punch this generation, so. Can't really do anything about it.
Hidden Power Ice Metagross, possibly. Just kidding. Snorlax goes for the frustration onto that Metagross as Metagross tries to retaliate with a Hammer Armor on that Snorlax. No critical hit thanks to that Stockpile. Snorlax hangs on. Going to drop that speed by 1 stage and go ahead and activate Snorlax's Berry. And, that's just icing on the cake right here. I guess the cherry on top?
The berry on top.
Fair enough. You're learning.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah. Garchomp gets to go for a Tectonic Rage right here. Going to pick up the KO on really anything. Tapu Koko, Metagross. It's pretty much over. Kamran Jahadi is going to take this set 2-0. Very convincing fashion for Kamran.
Poor Tapu Koko.
It's just unfortunate. Nikolai, very solid player, but the team leads were just so bad in Game 1.
Yeah, Game 1 didn't help him, and in Game 2, I think his backs were the issue. I think if he had Snorlax here, it'd be a little different story. But the Stockpile did a lot for Kamz there, and I think, wow, that could come in for him huge down the road. He's now 4-0. 2 more games, and he gives himself a chance to cut, and bringing that type of thing into cut. I don't know if you really prepare for Stockpile. You can prepare for
You got to prepare for Stockpile Gastrodon all the way back in the early international challenges, international championships.
But this is a little different. This is something they haven't really expected. I don't think anybody looks at the Snorlax and thinks they might think Curse, but the special defense boost really helps it, and it has so much natural attack that I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I think that he's onto something there, and quite clearly he's winning enough games.
So yeah, Kamran Jahadi, the 2011 Senior Division World Champion, takes round 4 over Nikolai Zielinski, the 2014 Senior Division World Champion, in convincing fashion. Again, Nikolai is a very solid player, but Kamran, like I said, he's been doing exceptionally well this entire year. Back in Anaheim, I'm not sure if you were able to tune into Anaheim, but he was actually Gavin Michaels' only loss.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
1 game loss.
Yeah.
In the entire tournament. That was to Kamran.
And see, that's what makes me think that he's potentially ahead of the metagame with the Snorlax. Like, Gavin's team, when he went into the tournament saying, nobody's ready for this, nobody's ready for this, nobody's been paying attention. Snorlax and Trick Room are going to win the tournament because nobody's ready. And obviously Kamz was ready, and he's the one person that was prepared for it. So looking at this, maybe he is onto something. Maybe he's got the meta, in his hand. Maybe this is his time now. So we'll see. I think it's exciting. I think that's a team that he obviously piloted very confidently. I don't think there were any moves there that looked like he was, misplaying or anything. He seemed to have a very clear idea of what he was doing.
I mean, the leads were always just like exerting so much pressure. Nikolai always kept leading that Garchomp, and of course, leading that Arcanine and that Tapu Koko. Actually, it was just a tough spot, right?
Yeah.
First turn, he protected his Garchomp, but at the same time, his Tapu Koko took too much damage.
Yeah.
Game 2, he got to pick up the KO on that Arcanine to allow his Garchomp to be able to, survive a little bit longer. But at the same time, Porygon 2 took so much damage as a setup Trick Room, and guess what comes in? Snorlax.
Yep. And what can you do about it at that point? Like, Nikolai, I think he thought about, probably thought about bringing his own Snorlax, but again, it's not a hard answer to it. It doesn't solve the problem entirely. It just kind of, it gives him a better chance, I think, but I don't know. I feel like Kamz had the upper hand on that based on how his team was built.
Yeah, unfortunate, but they're both still. I mean, Nikolai's still in it. I still expect him to make a pretty deep run.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a former world champion. He plays exceptionally well. I've seen him play in other tournaments. He top cut. San Jose. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he top cut San Jose, didn't he?
Maybe.
Did he?
Did he? Yeah.
Anyways, he's just an exceptional player.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's had a long history of being able to cut events and make deep runs. And I mean, obviously, he won Worlds as a senior. He's beaten numerous big names.
He beat Wolf on stream
at
the World Championships.
Yeah, like that. I don't know. I keep an eye on him. You may see him come up in top 8 as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in top 8 as well, even if he took this loss. We're going to go ahead and take another break. We're still waiting for the rest of the Swiss rounds to finish. That was actually a very quick round, and, that's just the inherent system of the Swiss tournament. We just had to wait for the rest of the rounds to finish before we can proceed on with the other rounds. But, everybody stay tuned. We're going to have more action coming here from the Oregon Regional Championships.